Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Progress with number 44 in the series Viewers Games. This one is from Robert from the USA. Robert writes, this game is an internet correspondence game. It is also a team match where you play one game as both colors versus the same opponent. Time control 5 days per move. White was Scott, black Robert, both players from the US. Before the start of the match I spent a good deal of time analyzing all of my opponent's previous games. Scott is mainly an e4 player and had several games in the fried liver variation of the two knights defense, where he had won as white. I had recently watched several YouTube videos on the fried liver and went through many Grandmaster games. Fischer lost a simultaneous exhibition game to Robert Berger. I don't normally play for tricks, especially in a correspondence game. The variation I chose can be very tricky for white. There are several moves that look like they are winning for white at first glance. However, my opponent sidestepped every trap in the opening. In correspondence chess, the use of an opening database is permitted. I think this game would be very instructive. Respectfully, Robert. Thank you very much, Robert. And yes, not only an opening database is permitted to use in a correspondence game, but also the chess engine, the computer, and we'll get to that a bit later. Let's look at the game. Scott indeed opened e4 and Robert answered e5. Knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, knight f6. Black indeed plays the two knights defense. Knight g5, d5 and e takes d5. Now black has several moves. Knight a5 is the most popular one. You can also play b5, but Robert played knight d4. Now white does not play the fried liver that Robert had prepared. The fried liver involves the knight takes f7 move, but white went c3, attacking the knight. b5 from Robert, counter-attacking the bishop. Bishop went back to f1, and knight takes d5, leaving that knight en prise on d4, but of course now black is attacking the white knight on g5. That's how the game went. C takes d4 and queen takes g5, and white wins a pawn with check. Bishop takes b5 check. King to d8, and here queen f3 is the most popular move, but white castled here. And after bishop b7, only then did he go to f3 with his queen. Robert took on d4, restoring the material balance. Rook b8 is another popular move here. After e takes d4, white played d3, is now attacking the queen on g5, and Robert played his queen to e5. These are all still theoretical moves that have been played before at many levels. Here knight d2 is a known move from a Grandmaster game, but Scott played bishop d2 and that's not such a good move. Bishop d6 from Robert, threatening checkmate on h2. Scott prevented that with queen g3, and now queen h5, attacking the queen. Black has great activity for his pieces, but he has a king on d8, which is not great. So the game is still in the balance. Of course white cannot take on g7, because then there is queen takes h2 checkmate. So after queen h5 he played f4. Rook g8 from Robert, protecting that g7 pawn, and knight a3. Here Robert played a strong move, knight e3. Scott took the knight, d takes e3, and now white blundered. He played d4, and that was a blunder. If you want to look for yourself why this is a blunder, then put the video on pause. You can also not take that pawn, not because of bishop c5, which looks very strong, skewering queen and king, because then white has d4, and the game is still in the balance. But after queen takes e3, that would have been a mistake because of the same combination we see in the game. Bishop takes a3, and that's really removing the defender from the b5 bishop. If you take back then the queen takes on b5 and black has won a piece. What you should have played, what white should have played here, Scott should have played queen g5 check to take the queens off the board. Queen takes, f takes, and we still have a game. But as I said, he played d4, a bad mistake, with that same combination we just saw. Bishop takes a3, removing the defender from the bishop on b5. B takes, and queen takes. It's clear that white did not check his moves with an engine. Black did. At least I think he did. All Robert's moves are the first or the second option of the engine. And that is okay. That is allowed in correspondence chess for the simple reason that it cannot be checked if players use an engine or not. So as Robert said, not only it is allowed to use a database with games, it's also allowed to use an engine. And I believe Robert did. And Scott clearly did not. Otherwise he would not have blundered that piece on the previous move. The engine would have very quickly shown that d4 was a bad move. The rest of the game is an easy task for black, especially in a correspondence game when you're allowed to check moves with an engine. Then this game is really over. We'll show the remaining moves. Rook a b1 attacking the queen, queen went to c6, and d5. That's a little trick. You cannot take that pawn, because then we have one of the rooks to d1, and we have a skewer, and black is going to lose his queen. Of course, Robert did not fall for that. After d5, he played the queen to c5. Rook fc1, again attacking the queen. Queen just took on a3, took another pawn. Queen e1, bishop took on d5. And here we have that same skewer after rook d1. But it's not as bad because that bishop is not a queen. And c6 is just simply protecting the bishop. Queen e2, king c7, rook bc1, and rook g e8. It looks like black made a mistake, but he didn't. It looks like you can take on d5, because this pawn is pinned, but you can't, because then this rook is unprotected, and black can take it. So rook g e8 is not a blunder, you cannot take on d5. White saw that, he played rook c2, rook a d8, bringing his last piece into the game. Queen h5, and the winning move e2. Good move from black. It looks like that pawn is attacked twice and only defended once, so it looks like white can take it, and white did take it, but it's not a good move because of queen c5 check. Very strong move. You cannot go to h1 or g1 with the king, because then there is bishop takes g2 check with a discovered attack from the queen to the queen on h5. The only other option you have is to interpose the rook. That's not what happened, but that doesn't work either because of a very strong move, bishop c4. You cannot take the queen because you get checkmated. Rook takes d1 check, rook f1 only move, and rook takes f1 is checkmate. If after bishop c4 you do not take the queen but play queen f3, then there's several ways to win for black. Rook e3 is a very strong move, attacking the queen. The queen goes to g4, then rook e2. This rook is hanging, this rook is hanging. White will get checkmated. Back to queen c5, the move from the game. King h1 was played by white, and that gave black the opportunity to win the queen with bishop takes g2 check, king takes, queen takes h5. Black is a full queen up, and Scott resigned. Good win from Robert. Correspondence games are usually played at quite a high level because, as I said, players are allowed to use databases and are allowed to use the computer engine. In this case, it looks like white played by himself without the help of an engine, and he made some tactical mistakes which gave black an easy win. Thank you very much, Robert, for sharing this game, and well played. Hope you enjoyed Robert's win in this game in the 2 knights defense. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the Chess to Progress channel. Please leave a comment, and if you like the video, it would be great if you could share it on social media. You also may want to check out my Chess to Impress channel. The link is in the description box. This is Rick from Chess to Progress. Thank you for watching.